Welcome to PricePlow, everyone. It's Friday, January 6th, and it is time for our year-end supplement industry awards of 2022.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, you and I late in the year got together in Austin and just like hung out and did like just a talk about the year. And I think that's my favorite like recap of a year that we've done because we didn't get into awards. We just talked about stuff that we loved. It's the pressure for me of like naming one person because it's so hard when we go back through the news from the year. We talk about so many things that like I've appreciated so much. Like early this year, I had like blinders on for the second half of the year, and like there was so much stuff that happened in 2022 to get through. I don't ever feel like we can do it all justice in 5 or 6 awards. So
No,
I'm
just
excited to
so
talk about
everyone
it.
knows, we have been kind of going back and forth over the last 24 hours about a lot of things. And one of the things I realized for myself is that I live in a total time warp. And I have ever since like having a kid and have a cat who keeps us awake, sleep deprivation happens. And then also I've moved twice. And so like there's something happened in February 2022 that I swear was like 4 years ago. So it's nice to be prepared because we I feel like we are prepared, but it's amazing how long and short a year can be all at once. Like it's so
Yeah.
2022 overall though. What were your overall impressions on the year?
This year, what's funny is like this year, even though we're gonna not argue, we're gonna go back and forth.
Arden.
This year was not a big year, and especially like who I think is gonna win is it. It wasn't their best year. In general, like this was a transformative year. This was a transitioning year, and I think 2023. I'm so excited for so many things. Um, but it was just like a year where like a lot of people were doing cool things and starting different things that are gonna. The problem is I know so much about what's happening in 2023. I'm just so excited.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of really cool things like new partnerships. New partnership is probably one of the biggest things we're going to talk about today, at least in my eyes. And I think also one of the really cool things about you and I doing our awards together, whereas, of times, the last couple of years watching other people do theirs as singular people, is that you and I have different perspectives as well. Like when we were talking about brand of the year, I was talking about who I see when I travel, when I go to gyms, when I go to events, when I go to stores. Like this year, especially, I traveled a lot more than you did. And I see people of maybe 18 to 35 and what they carry, and that makes a huge impression of what I consider to be of the year. When we talk about brand of the year, it's not always like who sold the most, who did the coolest thing. It's also like who do I see the most amount of people carrying in public, mainstream people, not just the echo chamber supplement area as well.
Yeah, and obviously I'm more of a product and ingredients guy, and as things have been going on, especially as I've gotten settled here in Oklahoma, where we ended up moving, big part of my year is I'm getting heavily into the biochemistry behind things. So you said like it wasn't that big of a year, whereas I saw multiple really, really, really important and critical ingredients come out. So I'm very excited. As a product guy, I look at like I want to see new SKUs, new formulas. Flavor collaborations are great. I'm drinking one as we speak, but to me, like I'm looking at like, can we solve world problems here? And
Yeah.
no offense, but a pina colada flavor is not going to do that, even though I love it. So I'm looking at different angles, but yeah, that's what makes this fun. So we do have an hour 15 from here as a hard stop. So I kind of want to get right into it, unless you have anything else. I will say that one of my highlights of the year was visiting North Carolina, where we visited Crush It Holdings, Doug Miller and his teams. I think Arms Race Nutrition is outside of the Crush It enterprises, but either way, like visiting that was a key highlight for me, and I had a blast, and kind of came out of my shell in their podcast. And so I had a great time, and it made me realize, yeah, those trips are incredibly important. And of course, we had fun on other trips too. But that was a very, very awesome highlight for me.
Yeah, I totally agree. We even saying like you didn't travel as much as I did this year. The trips that you and I had, we had some really big trips this year. Getting to Crush It Holdings, Core's headquarters. I'm not saying I had a negative view on them at all before, but it completely changed my view on them. Like they are a family there,
Mm-hmm.
and we visit a lot of brands that have really unique, cool headquarters. And that's one thing I do have to say. They're all unique. But the one thing I can say about Core is they spend the entire day together at one table. It is a
Yeah,
family.
and I've said this many times, the Zoom calls and stuff doesn't cut it.
No.
So you got to do that once in a while, especially with those podcasts and everything. It's 1,000 times better. This video itself would be better if we were in person, but Yeah, and we haven't had a podcast, you and me just jamming either.
Yeah.
So very cool. So yeah, that was definitely a highlight. Chicago was an excellent highlight with Ghost. I mean,
Yeah.
here I am, middle-aged guy on a very popular YouTube channel screaming turtle power and stuff. So, like, I don't know if that's a highlight or in some ways like a low light, but I think it's a highlight. It's fun, you know. So we're having a blast is what's good, and this industry is enabling for that. It's gotten to the point where we don't need to like argue over certain things like proprietary blends or whatever. Now we're having fun, and we've gone well beyond that, and that's what's awesome. And now we're starting to get into other things too, like regulatory, which is going to drive a big part of my early year here. So definitely excited for some of the stuff we'll be doing with NPA, Natural Products Alliance, and everything.
Totally agree on all accounts.
Association.
There.
I said alliance.
Alliance, Natural Products Association. Yeah, big shout out to them. They honestly deserve an award of their own for what they protect us with and everything. It's been very eye opening to see the amount of shit they deal with. And I'm appreciative of what they do for us.
Yeah, and we quickly talk about this like. I know it's exhausting to get into politics and stuff, but like in your corner of the world, whatever industry you're in, obviously we're in this one, you do need to be like, you do need to have political connections, and you do need to at least like fight back. Otherwise no one else is going to. And so it's not that we want to, it's that we have to. And I think Dan Fabricant's made that pretty clear to us. Like, yeah, most people don't enjoy having to dig through a huge PDF document that was written in 1994 or something like that. But guess what? We have to. And so, just accepting that and going with it has like kind of just opened my eyes to like, all right, well, we're going to do this. Let's do it right.
Yeah. I mean, big shout out to them. We should say early on from highlights of 2022, beating the FDA on NAC, like big win for us, big win for the good guys, big win for health. Yeah.
So let's talk about our categories real quick, but I will say that MVP is one of our categories. And Dan Fabricant and the NPA, because of NAC and how important I think it is, they were going to be the MVP, but they're not. So you get a runner up for sure, in my opinion. So obviously we always do brand of the year, but we also like to have an innovator of the year. And then we also have a breakout brand of the year, talking about, so brand of the year and then breakout brand of the year, and then brands to watch for the next year. So those are kind of our brand-based ones. Then we, like I said, we'll have an MVP of the year, but we'll also have an innovator of the year. And then I think if we have time, we can get into some products too, like a general product, protein, pre-workout. So we'll see how far we go. And
a couple of years ago, we went wild with those.
Was that
a couple of years ago? We went like 3 hours of just like pre-workout, all these different products. I think the things when every year we try to like hone these awards a little bit more to like being able to highlight effectively, because when you talk about brand of the year, it almost always is biased towards the people who have the spending money, like they're able to grow a brand, and sometimes that's not always going to be the innovative brand. And so last year we added innovative brand, which I thought was really important, because the brands that are bringing in new ingredients or new looks at products or categories are not always going to be the brand. And I think that needs to be a big distinction between innovation and brand. Brand is not going to be always product centric. It could be, but I think like highlighting our rubric here is always really important, because we're different from other awards. Our awards are going to mesh together, gross sales, the innovation, the branding, the marketing. We look at like kind of like a whole holistic look at that style of award. And then on these other things like innovator, what MVP, stuff like that, we hone in a little bit more specificity on that actual like category.
Yeah, and to quickly disclaim right away, a lot of nearly all the businesses, but not all of them that we were going to discuss, we do have a business or affiliate relationship with them. So that just disclaim it, understand it. Coupon code PricePlow, which we try. Austin, we are starting to move towards this where we are actually willing to take a smaller commission so that we can give the world's best coupon. I want PricePlow to be the best coupon. So just so you know, though, there are PricePlow coupon codes going to be floating around there. But we're not going to talk about that anymore. So that's disclaimed. For let's just basically say for almost everything here. So, but
and instead of like, I want to also note here, because we might have new viewers sometimes when we talk about this kinds of awards stuff. It gets clicks. I'm proud of the fact that we're associated with these brands. I'm not nervous. I'm not ashamed or anything that these brands are getting awards because they're with us or anything like that. I'm proud to say that we are associated with the best brands in this industry.
Right. And
like that.
I've said many times, we couldn't have done this business model 15 years ago. There's too
No,
much garbage out there. And that's
yeah,
not the case anymore.
yeah. I would not be. Well, I would not have been talking about those brands. Well, I would have been talking about them, but not in the nice way that I talk about brands. Right. So.
Right.
So with that all said,
I wanted to get right into the MVP since I've already brought it up.
yeah. So MVP. There were a lot of really influential people this year.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to talk about some other options before we say who we've already agreed upon, or you want to just jump into it?
No, I mean, we could talk about some options. Obviously, like Dan Lorenzo at Ghost is always going to be in the ring for this. Dom at Revive MD, Chris Bumstead, how can he not be MVP? I mean, like the C-Bum line's killing it. And he's personally killing it as well with his 4-peat. So yeah, they're going to be in the ring. I'm not sure if you have anyone else that you're thinking about for MVP.
So I met Bumstead at the Arnold this year, and talk about like a down to earth guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like he saw us and said hello to us. Like that, that was like the most incredible thing to me. Humbling that I mean, we're at the Arnold and we're talking about Mr. Olympia, and he had time to speak to us. It was incredible. Down to earth guy, was willing to just talk shop about what he was doing that day with the products that were coming. He handed, I got a pack of things that day that still isn't out that I'm really excited about coming next year. But he and Dom, those two guys, they are like movers and shakers in this industry. I think they are some of the most influential. And 2023 for them, there is so much coming. We've already seen that we're just so excited about, and getting into like what he did in 2022, that party for the Savage Legend with C-Bum, like, dude, it was insane. Like, I know you weren't there,
yes. Mm-hmm.
but that line, like, we filmed the whole extent of the line, like from the door all the way wrapped around like 2 buildings. It was just insane. Mm-hmm. Like influence is real, like whatever, Cutler was able to be an incredible influencer and everything in his day, but like with the creation of social media,
it still is.
It just, of course, 100%. But with social media taking this to the next level, it makes Bumstead like just this behemoth of influence. It's insane.
Yeah, but he's not the MVP.
No, he's not.
Neither is Dan Fabricant.
Yeah.
Even though I'm very, very proud that NAC can now be found on Amazon. Like, let's not like minimalize the importance of that. Any other year, Dan is my MVP, or at least like the MPA is my MVP. This year, though, it's Dr. Hector Lopez. Yeah. And so this fall, we had the very, very, very tragic news that Dr. Lopez had passed away. And I can't put into words how devastating this is not for humanity. I'll be honest. Like, this guy had a brain that was simply light years ahead of pretty much anyone out there. And we were lucky enough to have him in the dietary supplement industry, as opposed to like being in the pharmaceutical industry. This man was doing so many things that were, he had been behind like ingredients like Hydromax. Cool. Okay. But he was also getting into things that could truly improve human health and will improve human health. I'm talking about Smart Prime being one of them. And the loss of Dr. Hector, it can't be understated. But at the same time, his launching of and work on Smart Prime, in my opinion, having dug deep into this ingredient and the pathways that this can help shift you more towards an omega-3 pathway versus an omega-6 pathway, which is one of the most deleterious things that we are dealing with in our overall metabolic epidemic right now. That is alone, to me, one of the most important things and innovations that we have. And for that, without even giving him a posthumous award or anything, Dr. Hector Lopez deserves it, because Smart Prime is that, to me, that important in our current dietary landscape.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's kind of like your point of it. My side of it, what I kind of spoke about on our like quote unquote eulogy of him after he passed, was that he was the most selfless, kind person I'd ever met in this industry. I kind of joked that at my first supply side West, I went to a party the first night and he like introduced me to everyone. Like, just as like, I mean, we're both from Jersey. I've known him for a while, but like he gave me the ropes in the industry in that kind of way. And he would give you the shirt off his own back. If you launch an ingredient, like if you were talking about something that was like solely yours, he'd like be so happy for you. And that is not something that is often found in this industry. There's a lot of competition, and it can become personal, and he was happy for other people always. He was an incredible person outside of the innovation itself, just an incredible guy. So yeah. I said this in the video, and I truly mean it. I think the industry is a worse place without him.
Sadly, yeah.
And yesterday we announced NutriSure partnering with Smart Prime, which was another technology of Hector's that he was working with. So it's cool to see Brandon Soika and Bruce Neller working together.
You're talking about 3D Pump, actually.
Sorry, 3D Pump. I'm sorry.
Yes,
yeah, 3D Pump working together to bring a creation of his, not just his, but something that he was working on to even more people. I understand that there were a few different projects that he was working on that will continue to grow because of his legacy with his friends and stuff. And it's a sad time without him, but I hope that we get to remember him through all those innovations.
Yeah, agreed, for sure. And I'm just very happy that we did get to have him on the podcast. When I first met him in 2017, maybe it was 2016, at the Arnold, like he was just blowing our minds. And like, dude, we got to get this guy on video. He liked to be behind the scenes, and that's very well appreciated. I'm glad that towards the end he was willing to come out, and at least we have that one episode where he dropped some truth bombs, and that's at least we have that. So
Yeah.
wish we had more. And yeah, just super kind. When he heard that I had gotten hurt in late 2019 and everything, he told me, like, why didn't you let me know? I would have hooked you up in my clinic in Houston. The guy was literally everywhere. I've never seen someone with so many hands and so many pies and everything. So it's tough, but lifetime MVP right there.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if you could talk about this all day long. He's an incredible person. I don't think we should sit on it too long, but thanks definitely to Hector for everything that he did.
Amen.
So moving on from there, I think in his memory, we should probably talk about Innovator.
Yeah,
because that was when we talked about some sort of award for Hector. Innovator was kind of my pick because he had done so many things into so many different areas. But there's been a lot of really good this year in terms of that. And for me, the big rivalry for innovation was between Smart Prime and Paraxanthine Infinity. Those were the two biggest ingredients that I considered to launch this year. And both of them came from incredibly intelligent teams. And kind of ironically, last year, our Innovator of the Year was actually a brand. Glaxon had put together some incredible formulas, and we really wanted to highlight that because that's what they excelled at that year.
Right. Joey will always be in this mix.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this year he did some incredible things as well.
We'll talk about them. Yeah, because I have arguments for other ones that he's done.
I forgot. Yes, you have one in specific there. But to me, and this is also one of those things that we could talk about this one all day long because the weight of these different things will be determined over time. But for me, the Paraxanthine Infinity creation and bringing to market, even though it did happen late in the year, and I kind of assume that 2023 might be the year of Paraxanthine because it will go more widespread. A couple things that we know, a couple things that we don't know yet, but like there will be a couple opportunities there for it to go more wide. To me, that big competition to that big caffeine, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is one of those ingredients and so Paraxanthine Infinity, created by the company ING2, which is Ingenious Ingredients, Sean Wells and Kylan Lau of NMB Nutrition, but also with Dr. Ralph Yeager and Dr. Martin Perpera. And so this is a team of 4. And there's one of those ingredients, you start looking at this and like, why is no one doing this? And I think part of it is because it's very, very hard to create this molecule. But for those of you who haven't been following, this ingredient, paraxanthine, is the primary metabolite of caffeine. And when you take paraxanthine itself, it's actually doing a lot of the heavy lifting of caffeine. And when you take it itself, you get a lot of the good effects of caffeine with a slightly shorter half-life, but without some of the metabolites that cause people, especially if they're slow caffeine metabolizers, you don't get as many of as much of the wreckage from those metabolites. So paraxanthine goes straight to the source, and there's a lot of biochemical stuff that Sean Wells talks about on our podcast. So he joins Raza Bashir from Muscle Tech. So you can go back and listen to that one. But overall, incredible ingredient. And the reason why it's important, and I'm not downplaying, Dr. Hector's Smart Prime and 3D Pump and stuff, obviously, and he obviously won that award for very many reasons. But we're seeing a lot of problems with people are getting way, way too caffeinated. There's something wrong. There's clearly something systemically wrong with a lot of us, that people are drinking way too much caffeine and we're hooked. And it didn't used to be like this. Like, and it's leading towards we have a lot of mineral deficiencies. A lot of things are going wrong, and I think this is a nice end around way to start to approach it, to get off of, if we're not going to get off caffeine, at least like try to skirt around some of the problems that caffeine's causing us, because the two other metabolites, theobromine and theophylline, have like really long half-lives, and they'll mess your sleep up and everything. So I think it's a really, really cool way of working around that and trying to like get off this caffeine problem that we have. So that's my take. I do think like Smart Prime is probably a more like unique type of innovation, but I think the paraxanthine has a chance to go way further.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying there. I think Smart Prime, in terms of impact on humanity, might be more profound. And we're just talking about like, well, there's caffeine in cans all over America, in every gas station everywhere, right? And to me, I'm a little bit less of a doomer about the caffeine thing. I think it's just availability that has really screwed us up, because every single person and their mom can drink 300 milligrams in a can all day long. Like I think that's really the biggest problem, is the availability, which, by the way, is why I'm happy that so many brands are going to like back to like 200 milligrams.
We're seeing that. We're seeing a lot of stim free.
Yeah.
There's people are pushing back a little bit. And
yeah.
It's good to see.
And so I think that makes an opportunity for paraxanthine, like you said, to be as wide as possible, because I don't know that every brand is going to use Smart Prime. I don't know that every formulator can even grasp it. I'm using formulator very loosely there. But when it comes to, people putting an ingredient in a product, I think a lot of people are going to be very interested in the opportunity of paraxanthine, because it's different. It's even for myself. I just did a reel about this the other day. I love caffeine. I don't have a problem with caffeine. As long as I don't drink it after like 8:30, really at latest, I'm not that bad with it, but I still prefer paraxanthine if I can, right? Like there's just a different experience.
It's cleaner. Yeah. I mean, if once you get used to the paraxanthine, you go back to caffeine, it's a few days of like, oh, this is rough. So.
Yeah. I think that's because you're a slow metabolizer of caffeine, especially.
I don't think I'm especially slow, not as fast as you. I always thought I was in the middle.
I mean the effects are especially not that you're especially slower. I just mean that, like, because I can handle caffeine well, I still tell the difference and I still enjoy it. But it's not like, ooh, like I wouldn't categorize it as that sound personally. Although it is still nicer,
Yeah.
And ironically, I like theobromine as a addition into it. I know a lot of people. I think theophylline is really where a lot of the issues come from, with blood pressure and heart rate and everything like that.
Yeah, well, technically, yeah, that is a drug, technically. So, yeah, so I mean, congratulations to Sean, Kylan, Ralph, and Martin as the innovators of the year. What else? Yeah, I think we'll see a lot from Joey over the next year.
NAD synergies, I know what you want to talk about.
Right, and we'll get into that product, I guess. I think when we talk about, so what I'm starting to see personally, and there's just so many things, like when my wife and I talk about like all the different medical issues people have, like everyone thinks there's like one problem. And it's like, no, dude, we have been like barraged with an onslaught of problems. It's a dozen problems. Which one do you focus on first? Which one are you going to remove from your life and make your like social life awkward? That's up to you and everything. But one of the things, so, when we talk about why we need so much caffeine, I think one of the things is that we do have a shortage of an NAD deficiency. And so that's where NAD Synergy is a product that comes in. I see a lot of people are medicating themselves with caffeine to the point where because they don't have any cellular energy. And it's just like a terrible Band-Aid for a lot of different metabolic problems, whether insulin resistant or you don't have any NAD precursors. A lot of these multivitamins have switched over to niacinamide, because the niacin, which is really technically speaking nicotinic acid, or whatever, they're changed the name to niacin, but the nicotinic acid is the flushing niacin, which gives side effects that most people, except for our shout out to our loyal PricePlow Discord users, most people don't want the flushing effect, but it is a more a better NAD precursor than is niacinamide. And so, but when you start digging into NMN, and we'll be talking a lot more about this, NMN is better than both. And so we'll see data eventually, I think, supporting that. I can't really fully support that with actual human data, but overall, like, we have a lot a lot of issues that are leading into us thinking we need all this caffeine. There's a lot of other things going on that vitamin, not just deficiencies, but toxicities as well, that I'm starting to get into as well. And I see Joey like has worked a little bit to work on some of this stuff. So it's really fun to, it's fun to watch and everything. So he's in the mix for Innovator, but to me, the paraxanthine kind of sitting there right in front of our faces the whole time. And that's I think is, it's going to take off in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the moment of me asking Sean on that podcast, like, no offense, but why hasn't this been done before? That was one of my favorite parts of that podcast, because even he was like, I honestly don't know. It's been there the whole time.
Right.
So, well, cool. Congratulations to them. I'm excited to see what happens with that ingredient in 2023. I think there's a lot of opportunities when that exclusive opens up that we'll be talking about. So from there,
we could talk Breakout. Brands to watch. Yeah, let's not do brands to watch yet. I guess who broke out this year is my next question, unless you want to talk about some products or something.
I think we have to do brand of the year before we talk about breakout brand or MVP or anything else. Personally, because to me, brand of the year is also talking about the breakout brand, because the breakout brand inherently needs to be in the discussion for brand of the year for it to be a breakout.
I see.
I always like, every time you talk about like brand of the year, it's almost always like one brand versus another, and one of them always ends up being the breakout because they have such high velocity that year.
Velocity is important. Yeah.
To me, so breakout brand is all about velocity. It's not about the year you were founded or anything like that.
Right. So when we first started debating this, like, I came in a product ingredients guy, and I'm also like coming in from a personal selfishness point of view, like what products do I actually use, where I'm finishing full tubs and everything, get a lot of pre-workouts sent our way. What tubs of XYZ are we actually finishing? And so that made a big impact on me. And so my original my original arguments are arms race nutrition. And the reason being is that the Foundation Bar cinnamon cereal flavor are fantastic. Like, crushed a zillion of those. When in terms of the clarity update, I finished 2 tubs of that. Great nootropic, not too much energy, smooth, really good feeling formula. And it used to be a mental health product, which was probably really cool, but wasn't going to fit the brand, wasn't going to work at GNC and everything. The new clarity nootropic worked way better than I used it a ton. And then also Night was a new, and I'm looking at new products and everything, or like fully new SKUs and everything.
Yeah.
Night was an incredible sleep aid. Might not taste the best because it's got a lot of botanicals, but what I like is it's got botanicals and is melatonin free, which a lot of people had asking for, and a ton of glycine and magnesium. 3 things that I had been looking for. So I'm a huge fan of the product. So I'm like, I started realizing like I'm just like finishing. And then I know it's not your favorite flavor. I love the apple pie moonshine flavor system that they put out in the fall. So I'm like going over here. I'm like, I am using a lot of these brown paper tubs, and I'm finishing them from Arms Race Nutrition over and over and over. And last year we did give Doug Miller, who owns half of Arms Race Nutrition, the MVP. And I'm like, I don't know what it is, but like Doug keeps formulating, or he's involved in the formulations of a lot of products that I'm using over and over and over. So that is, from a product standpoint, I'm coming in pretty hot on Arms Race Nutrition. I got a functional food, I got a sleep aid, and it's like, auxiliary products too, nootropic and everything. And I think that their brand is very strong. You go to a show and Julian's going to be there with a whole crew of people, and they're kind of different than the rest of, like we've talked about, than the rest of our industry demographic, but they have a solid brand going on there, a very solid brand going on there. So that is my initial toss into the ring, that I'm on Team's Arms Race Nutrition. I'm an arms dealer right now.
So two things that I got from that because I want to talk about that. Arms Race is let's say Arms Race is in my top 3 for this, and we went back and forth on this a decent amount, fairly. I went to the Arms Race pop-up event at the Core HQ this year, and you didn't go with me, and so I felt like I had a unique experience there, which ironically they ended up being your brand, because I had a fucking phenomenal time with that team. They are so different from any others. It was a week out from me going to the biggest emo festival of the year, and every single person at that event was bopping emo music. It is so different. They inspired me to go buy a pair of Vans because everyone was wearing Vans. It's cool to be a part of your people. You know what I mean? Like, to be part of your tribe. And every single person there, they knew who I was because of the collaborations and everything. But I related to these people a lot, and I had a really incredible time. And In the same way that Core is a family, Arms Race is a family, just in a different way. It's like a different flavor of the same category, which is really cool. The other thing that you said that I really like when we talk about these is finishing bottles. A lot of consumers that listen to this won't relate to this, but as you can imagine, I get about 3 boxes a day of supplements. So if I finish a bottle of something, I hate to say this, but if I
I know, but it is what it is. Like,
it is what it is.
We do our best of using what we use, and some of our power users get nice care packages. I'm about to build one out for our buddy TJ. So
I hate that discussion. People are always like, send me the extra. It's not something I want to talk about, but
right.
what I will say is that the products get used by people who need them. You know what I mean?
And especially local gyms and everything too.
Yeah. So the 3 products that I finished the most of this year, I don't know about 3, but let's say Arms Race is a huge part of that. I finished a lot of them, and I have to say the Hydrate from their sister brand Core, I finished a ton of.
Yes.
That product itself was awesome. Hydration products in general, you made fun of me a lot for, but I finished every single one that hit my doorstep.
No, I've really quickly turned my opinion on all hydration. It's sad. Like, we used to make fun of electrolytes and idiocracy and everything, but there's clearly, and this is one of the trends of 2022 that we missed at Supply Side West that I probably should have put in that blog post, that video, is mineral deficiencies. There's something catastrophically wrong right now, and I don't know what it is. Maybe Chris Waldron can come in and explain us the conspiracy side of it. No matter whatever is happening, we are magnesium deficient, we are potassium deficient, we are deficient. And these hydration products have a great place until we figure out what's going on. And maybe we'll continue to use them. And we can't really, we're not farmers. We can't heal the earth. So we do what we can. There's clearly a problem. And so for now, the hydration products are maybe a Band-Aid solution, but maybe a solid solution. Either way, they are a solution. So I am all for these hydration products, but the one hydration product I actually finished a tub literally yesterday, I'm not lying, was Ghost Hydration. And so coming into Brand of the Year, Ghost is always going to be in this discussion. And I don't know. I think last year I may have said I was going to be pissed if Ghost was Brand of the Year again. And here we are debating. We're going to debate it again, because when I first looked at it and thinking about it, and I'm in my time warp, I'm like, Ghost only put out Ghost Hydration as a new SKU, right?
And then I started listing a bunch, because I've been going through this for like 2 months now. Everyone who listens to this knows I've been talking about this since August, because well, thank you, Ryan Buckeye, who always makes his yearly post in August and makes me have to start worrying about this. But so for me, I have to say right off the bat, before we even get to the one, I'm going to say right here, my product of the year is Savage Legend. My product, there was no one who from the launch, I don't remember what month the launch was, but it was warm out. It was like June or something when I was out in Miami. From that launch to Black Friday, there was not one product that got talked more about. I had to buy like 5 that day to bring home to friends. I shipped them to people because people were Venmoing me the money for them. VPs of other companies were paying money to our videographer to have them bring products to them. You know what I mean? This product, I have to say, was not the first brand to brand collaboration. I will give a shout out immediately because Chris Waldron will get mad if I don't. Black Market and Inspired did this a few years ago, but this by far was a monumental moment where 2 brands in the middle of all these other brands having stupid estrogen-driven drama. These brands put everything aside, and they said, ironically, as like the 2 behemoths of the industry.
Right. This was 2 sluggers, 2 heavyweights.
These guys come together and do a pop-up event in Miami, and then they re-release the product in Black Friday. I mean, it's huge. It's ridiculous.
I'm drinking it right now.
Yeah, it's one of the best flavors of the year. That Miami Vice is just so good. And so it's like, just because of that puts Raw and Ghost in the top for me.
Yep.
Well,
not just because I need more than that.
Of course.
But I hear what you're saying. This is 2 heavyweights who put out a collab together, and it was a cherry on top for sure. But it wasn't. Yes. So
that secures 2 of them in the top 3 for me.
Okay. So why? So let's talk about, does Raw beat Ghost as? And I'm going to go hard on Ghost. Dan, listen up. I have high expectations, and Ghost has gaps in their product line, and I'm going to challenge them because they're not going to. I need to see more. So, but let's talk about. Okay, so
2021 was one of their biggest years, so they had to beat that in
Mhm.
2022. And the whole year, I was like, I don't think I really thought it was going to be Raw the whole year. I'm like,
I need more than flavors. Okay. And so I
Sure.
need more than like a flavor collab. Okay. This is a great product. Okay. But it's, and
we hear
so,
you want more products.
so Raw Nutrition though covers some of the deficiencies that Ghost has. And I'm specifically talking one of my, if you were going to have a functional food of the year, Raw Nutrition's Raw Bar.
Amazing.
Which uses dates, which I turns out I love. Look, I got a bag right here. Like
6 or 7 ingredients.
Dude, 6 or 7 ingredients. Awesome, clean product using dates. I love it.
Honey,
so where is Ghost's functional food?
You can't ask me.
They're too old. To me, there's no more excuses. It's too late. I mean, it's never too late. They'll put one out eventually, I'm sure. But Raw Nutrition, for me, like, okay, the new SKUs in terms of like being a product guy, not talking about tons of collabs or flavors. I do love the Raw Bar. The Savage RTD is, I don't even know how they fit all that stuff into one bottle. It's a
small bottle too. It's not like the 16 ouncer. It's like a 12 ouncer, and you get so much. I think it's the most packed pre-workout in there. You can talk about a few other ones that have some big doses, but that thing has a lot in it, no matter what. Did you have any of the cookies?
No, that was like a collab. Wasn't it like more of a business deal?
Dude,
like
I thought that was so yesterday I'm on the phone with John and I was like, yo, do you still have any more of those cookies? He was like, dude, it's an ongoing product. It was not like a limited edition thing. They're selling at Vitamin Shop.
Right. They're on the site. I just didn't think it was like a raw thing.
Well, they just came out with a new flavor that I've got on the way to do on video. So we have to say the cookies, they're high calorie. They're not, a functional food as in raw bars, but they're really freaking good.
Mm-hmm.
They're good post-workout. I'll put it that way. So we actually have a sheet because every other year we've just kind of like shotgunned it. But
we've like gone through our news page and everything, but it's a little sloppy. So
I came with notes for this one. So dragon fruit, green crush, peach bum.
That's the Savage flavors and the powder, standard Savage powder, which is the awesome daily driver pre-workout.
as well dropped this year. I don't have that.
Was that this year?
Yeah, it was early this year.
It might have been late last year. Okay.
Well. Rocket Pop, Sour AF for pre.
Mm-hmm.
Pump, they had lemonade, raspberry lemonade.
Mm-hmm.
Raw EAA, they launched like 5 flavors: strawberry lemonade, red slush, peach tea, lemon lime, island slushy. They did a couple single ingredient products like Pico 2, which is cool. It's nice. Their group definitely enjoys that. Pre-extreme, 2 new flavors. Whey had like 4 new flavors. And by the way, Isolate from Seabum, the chocolate mint chip.
Yeah.
Oh my God. We're going to be talking about that later on our
I haven't had that one. So, okay.
Oh,
so yeah, I mean, overall, really good year. I'm going to say though, looking at this, I kind of bolded on our sheet that the new SKUs wasn't enough. Like Raw Bar and Savage RTD were like the truly new SKUs. Maybe I'm not counting Pico 2 as the new SKU, really.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
A new SKU, I mean, new like main product, new formula product. And so, in my opinion, even though they were part of this collab as well, it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to win brand of the year. I'm still putting Arms Race above Raw for me personally, but either way, I don't think it's like a slam dunk. Like that didn't beat Ghost. Let's put it that way. So I guess we got to get into Ghost because all we really talked about is this collab here and hydration.
Yeah. And hydration is another one of those products that I finished every single bottle and bag that I got. Like just that was a product I could not stop using.
After that, the Chicago trip we took, we stole a few extra hydration Sour Patch Kids red berry sticks. Dude, that flavor. Wait, we're not supposed to talk about that?
I think they told us we could take that. I was just kind of joking. Like I don't think that was out yet.
It wasn't. Yeah, but I drank. Oh man! So I went back to the hotel room. I was drinking. I was like, holy crap! This flavor is so good. Like. Man, Ghost can flavors. I think it's flavor a supplement. It's just
get Wilkie on the podcast.
It's like objectively true. That flavor is incredible. I just love the red berry.
Yeah. So you talk about their year. You have to say Savage Legend, right?
Right.
You have to say that one. But the big talk for this year, in my opinion, on one side, on like the sales and growth side, was energy. Energy. I don't want to talk numbers. I don't know if the numbers are. I didn't ask if the numbers are public, but. Big,
not small.
Really, really, really big. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like anyone who's telling you they're big, they're not that big, right? So sour green apple, cherry limeade, orange cream, and you contend that Swedish Fish was 2021, right?
No, it was 2022. This is where my time warp was. This Swedish Fish was first spotted on PricePlow in February 2022. And I don't think it was in a store any earlier than that. Like I can't believe that was only February. That boggles my mind. So
Those are 4 huge flavors. Orange cream was a ridiculous one for them. The cherry limeade, I'm counting as 2022 because I had it in the end of the year. It was in store, but it technically didn't launch until this month. Sour green apple, people like fought for. Just all around. I mean, that's Ghost Energy is going to be a huge development for Ghost. Obviously, we all know this. There's a reason why Truth in Advertising is putting their crosshairs at Ghost, and it's not because they're small. It's because they're taking shelf space, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you start looking at Way. They had their fall flavors, so apple cider and pumpkin pie. They had their Oreo birthday cake, which was a big launch, both GNC exclusive and on their website. People fought for that. The new Cocos, so they had the new peppermint as well as the old launch. Just going through other flavors.
Okay, so yeah, and this is where I start getting annoyed with Ghost. I'm like, okay, yeah, there's some limited edition stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I need more.
Yeah, Greens, apple cider, Gamer, SBK, pineapple. Legend had Bubblicious cotton candy, as well as the relaunch of the other Bubblicious. Max had a thing there. Oh, Max energy drink with the exclusive launch with Vitamin Shop.
Right. Right.
I know Mike has a contention about Max's saltiness and his flavors.
I'm not the margarita guy. Yeah. Like, I do not like this flavor system, but a lot of people do. So it's not for everyone.
Burned Black had a black cherry flavor and a relaunch. And so those are all the new flavors. Mm-hmm. Then some new launches. First off the bat has to be, because I talked about this in the GNC video, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I mean, the promo box had Nickelodeon on it. Like Nickelodeon, like it's huge to me. Some people might not think it was that big of a deal, but that was momentous to me. And that included a new SKU, Gamer Non-Stim. It wasn't just a flavor collab. It was a new product as well.
And but the formula, it was the Legend UK, but it was finally a chance for us to get the Legend UK formula in the Leonardo Blue. The first off, the flavor system's awesome. I love that flavor. But yeah, the Legend UK version is the Ghost Legend Blue lid tub, like Leonardo Ninja Turtle flavor or whatever, and really good formula too.
Yeah. So that's kind of a new product, also a collab. But when you get into like new products, they had All Out, they had Hydration and the OG and the stick packs. They had Burn Non-Stim, which was heavily requested, and of course they had featuring our MVP of the year, Ghost Fish Oil.
That's what put it over the top for me, because I'm thinking when I look at Ghost, I'm like, okay, flavor, that's cool. I love Swedish Fish, just not as much as Dan, but almost as much as Dan. I love that stuff. That's like, well, okay, what's that doing for humanity, for instance? I get like this now. I'm getting older, guys. So, and then sort of we're arguing back and forth, and I see this list getting bigger and bigger, and then I'm like, oh, dude, we missed Ghost Fish Oil. It's over for me. Like, because this is the first, maybe not the first, but it's it's the first major brand to put Smart Prime in their in a product. And it's in a fish oil. And like I said earlier in the podcast, I don't want to go too much more. Like, listen to the podcast. We have Dr. Hector. This ingredient truly attacks one of the main problems that we have. And Ghost, like, I don't think they took a risk, but they were first they were the first major brand to really throw this in.
I want to say in this long form podcast, I want to give this shout when we talk about Smart Prime. Leviathan Nutrition was the first to use
there it is. Yeah.
I do want to give that shout out to them because they were first. They're not international, but they make incredible products, and I do want to give them a shout. This is part of the MVP of the year, and I want to make sure that they get that shout.
Thanks.
I always want to do right by the right person, but
and so I'm going to say it. Ghost did it again. Ghost won the brand of the year, and we're not done with this list, but we're talking about the brand of the year. And not only did they passed the criteria on both ways. The brand, everyone's talking about Ghost. You got the pop-ups, you got the parties, you got the flavors, but they also did it with a very important health lifestyle product that I think everyone needs to start to look into what's going on with this omega-6 issue.
Right.
And so that for me put it over the top. And so congratulations, Ghost. Now I'm going to give you this little challenge though, is like Ghost Whey. We still don't have a strawberry flavor. Ghost still doesn't have a functional food. Like Arms Race came out with a protein bar, and Raw Nutrition came out with a protein bar. Where's mine from Ghost? Like I expect whatever they are working on. I assume they're working on something. I expect it to be. It's got to be at this point. It's got to be like an 11 out of 10 good, and I demand it at this point. Like I don't want them to win this award anymore without like fixing up some of these little gaps in their line. We need to handicap them. But yeah, I mean, like as brand of the year, hooking up with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and doing this co-branding thing, like no, this brand has gone beyond supplements and all that. Like no supplement company can really do this kind of stuff, and they've done that. And then at the bottom of this list, we have the Phase signing, and you know more about that. But this is a massive gaming organization,
the biggest organization in gaming.
Yeah,
and we haven't seen the full built out.
Yeah,
what's going to come from this, and we have to be careful with what we say because we do know some things.
But I don't know anything.
I think that the challenge that we need to set for next year is that if they're going to win this, which I don't think they're going to win next year. I think someone breaks the tradition next year, and I've got a really good idea who it's going to be. So we're already talking about them a little bit, but I think that they have to do it without just flavors. There has to be new products.
Agreed.
There has to be new formulas. I mean, we have talked in some areas and streams. Dan has not joked, but kind of alluded to new versions of things coming. So maybe there's an attempt to do that. Maybe there's a reason, and I don't want to give anything away, but they have to do it with new products, new formulas, new innovation, and it can't just be because they launched a certain amount of flavors. Because I totally understand. When I run through these lists, I think about what is the profile picture list hater account going to write on the bottom of this reel when it comes on. And I think about things like, okay, well, company X in the middle of nowhere made this formula that has 35 different ingredients in it, and it's better, but it didn't penetrate the world as well as Ghost did for me. The reason that they're the brand of the year for me is because they take all these different categories, being innovation, formula, sales, growth, like the collab and all these different things, and they're the jack of all of those trades. They don't just make the best product theoretically. They don't just make the most money. They do all of that. They break that mold. They get into new categories. They do new things, and they stretch their wings in other ways across all the board to me. And then also the fact that they're not just a flavor collab company, they're also throwing in this ghost fish oil with Smart Prime and doing something that can really change the health for folks. I mean, that's a cherry on top. Like,
that's the stuff I care about. Yeah. Even though I do also want a strawberry whey flavor at some point. How old do you have to be? Isn't it usually like chocolate, vanilla, strawberry? But Ghost does it their way. And they came out with a cereal milk flavor first on their way. I demand a functional food, and I demand a strawberry whey protein.
Yeah. I will say that I expect next year to have these same three companies on this talk, and I expect it to be a harder discussion.
Right.
I fully expect just Q1. I want to say this, Dom and Doug Miller, I want you to make Dan's life as hard as possible to get this award next year, because I don't think Ghost is invulnerable to that after 2022. I think 2023, we've got some people with a chip on their shoulder for this kind of. I don't know if they care much about this award. But.
Yeah. Now, I don't know what happened. One thing that Ghost did not do is the Christian Guzman launch. You might know something about that. I don't. It doesn't matter. Like
I can't say anything, but I will say if you go back to our podcast with Dan and Ryan at Ghost headquarters, when I brought up, Guzman said there was going to be a collab this summer. What do you have to say about that? And you could tell there was a big reluctance in Dan's voice. Didn't want to say it in his own words. He, if that's coming, it's coming, but clearly did not happen this year. Maybe there's something bigger or something different.
Cool. Yeah. Other than that, yeah, I mean, we could talk about these brands for a while. I think, Arms Race is going to be coming out pretty big this year, and they did a lot of cool flavor systems this year. I don't think we need to do any more details.
Let's transition into this. One of the reasons I want to talk about that is Arms Race is my breakout brand.
Oh, are they? Oh,
I think they had the most momentum this year. Look at
okay. Maybe that's what I was feeling. I'm a momentum kind of guy.
Yeah.
I got my daughter saying momentum a lot for whatever reason, and so I love that word. And I think maybe I got swept up in that.
To me, it's like breakout brand does not need to have we're looking at a sheet right now of launches. They don't have to have the biggest list, but the list that they do have, I loved every single launch. I loved the collateral for marketing around them. I loved the new clarity. I really enjoyed, even though I like the old formula, like you said. The new formula was something I could employ in a different way that I always enjoyed. Night was melatonin free and had all these really cool ingredients in it that other people shied away from because the flavors of those ingredients can be tough. The stabilize was different. The new foundation bars I was a big fan of. The fun flavors like apple pie moonshine, Key West, black cherry, Sween Dog had her own flavor. You know, like
Yep.
I see momentum for them. And it's hard for me to not just say they're the brand to watch next year, because brand to watch to me is usually a smaller brand that is about to have their breakout year.
Yeah, we try. Yeah. So, okay, breakout. Who else helped? Who else was breaking out a little bit?
Raw, for sure. Raw was hitting their stride with Bum. I think this year they finally found out not finally, but it's been quite a fast turnaround, but they're realizing what works for Bumstead. And honestly, it's probably just throw anything with his name on it. But like they've figured it out, you know, and 2023, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with that.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, it's hard for me not to say brand to watch 2023 is Raw either, because it's like, I think they're just going to win the whole thing next year.
Yeah. And by default, like Glaxon, Ghost, those are always going to be brands to watch. We have to say this every year at this point. Like, so that doesn't count. We want for brand to watch. So wait, okay. Breakout brand, Arms Race Nutrition. I like that a lot. Who did I have in mind for that? Or did I?
To me, it's always like the top three are always in contention, because it's usually like two big guys that are already there and one new guy that like is up here swinging with the majors.
Yeah, I didn't really have anything else. I think, yeah, okay. I think if you would have left it to my own devices, it would have been it probably would have been Raw, but I like what you're saying.
Raw won last year.
Oh, then they're not allowed to win this year. Once you win Breakout brand, once you win Breakout brand, the only next step is brand of the year.
There's a 2 to 3 year lull between Breakout brand to brand of the year to me. And this always sucks, because the people who win Breakout brand think next year's my fucking year. Mm-hmm. And I always feel bad, because you have to have the right corporate structure. You have to have the right cadence. You have to have the right people in the right positions to really have a brand of the year. And sometimes Breakout brand happens because you signed Mr. Olympia and all of a sudden you have a ton of momentum, right? Or it happens because you're Glaxon and you have all these really cool formulas, but to meet the demand, to do all these different things, to become the brand of the year, it takes a little bit, in my opinion. Right. Not that I've done brand of the year. I
understand what you're saying. That it totally makes sense though.
So, nice. I mean, when you look at brands on our page, the featured brands, I mean, there's so much here. This is what every year when we do these, I just go to our featured brand page, or our featured ingredient suppliers, or just this whole thing. Okay. So
you're I remember who my argument was.
I remember now too.
Astroflav.
Yep.
And
Astroflav.
So they kind of broke out, and then they had a couple formulas I think that needed to be redone, and they started redoing these formulas, and they're really good. They're like insanely good. As in, we haven't yet published it, but it might get published before this goes live.
A few years ago,
they're vegan mix. I've never had a vegan protein that tasted like this. Like, dude,
yeah,
without a doubt, my favorite plant-based / vegan protein. Not even close. I'm not even. I challenge other companies to send over their best. Astroflav's vegan mix, phenomenal. So. Like, we're not everyone here is vegan or whatever. I'm not, that's for sure. But these things matter a lot to me. Redoing the ISO mix, 1 scoop only. They started re-breaking out. So that's actually who I had as my breakout brand. MetaBurn PM, which actually does work very well. It does have melatonin as well. So a lot of exciting things. Full tank to train. Like they started, they caught momentum late in the year, and I think they're still on the momentum kick early this year. So sometimes the break in the like where December 31st lands in terms of the product launch schedule kind of screws you up with some of these launches too.
I think last year I tried to give Animal most improved, and we kind of said no, because it almost sounds like a sideways. It sounds like an insult in some ways.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean to be.
And it doesn't need to be. To me, Astroflav is 100% a contender for that, because they came to me, they were like, look, we want to go fully compliant, first of all. You know, like we want our pre-workouts to be able to be going like everywhere. To me, one scoop only is one of my favorite pre-workouts I'm
Yeah,
using
dude.
right
It's,
now.
well,
Nucleo Prime in a pre-workout mainstream. Like, who
Very
else
exciting.
is doing that? That's super cool. And I mean, I'm also biased because I'm from New Jersey, and they are Jersey supplements guys. Like Jersey Store Supplements is Brian Tweer is the owner, and he and Brady and Michael, I should say too, the marketing guy, are just doing an incredible job right now.
Yes.
They're doing an awesome job, and I have to say, totally, like you said, that break in the year might be kind of screwing that momentum in terms of our cadence for awards.
Right.
So, I mean, brands to watch. If there's a multiple brands to watch metric, they're like, it's them and one other person we'll talk about.
They're skirting a bunch of these different awards, but yeah, I think it was, I don't want to say too little too late because I love everything they're doing. And like, just once you see this vegan mix video, I probably go a little bit too overboard. I'm so excited about it. But
it sounds negative, but it's not when you say too little too late. It's just because our cutoff was December 31st.
literally in terms of time, too late. But yeah, when you talk about like the breakout, who's ready for throwing in for the brand of the year, I don't think Astroflave's ready for brand of the year, but Arms Race Nutrition is.
Yeah, Arms Race is doing a great job. I really love everything that they're doing. And I mean, it's so ironic because like literally like the last week of December, we start getting like notes of like, here's what we're doing Q1. And both Raw and Arms Race were like, are we allowed to talk about what we can talk about what Raw's doing.
Just talk about whatever you posted already with Arms Race. I don't know. I mean,
we're talking about like possible rebrands. We're talking about new products. We're talking about new reformulations. We're talking about all sorts of improvements and new launches first 2 months of the year. You know, and that to me, that's like breakout into brand of the year.
Right. So who's your brand to watch for?
Well, a brand to watch.
Oh, yeah. So okay. So then I guess that's a totally different thing. I'd like to get into that next. Okay.
We have
like 22 minutes. So
okay, let's get through it. Brand to watch, 2 of them: Clout and Astroflave.
Okay, so tell me about Clout. You've talked about them. You've opened their box. Very unique stuff.
Yeah, cool promo box. It's a little bit over. I would grab it, but cool guys, interesting stuff. When I said to them, like, you know, what are you doing? Their answer of what they want to do is like, they're like, you know, we love how these flavor collabs have changed this industry. We want to do that kind of collab with anything else. So the idea was like ingredient collabs, like somehow working out something cool there. We talked about like anime collabs, possibly like all sorts of other cultural collaborations. And the fact that they came in, they were like, we love these concepts. We just want to do it differently. That was like, to me, the fact that they aren't referencing that they want to do what other people are doing, that was like, all right, cool. I'm excited to see what you're going to do.
Yeah, I see a company with Clout that's this is KLOUT for those listening on the audio feeds and stuff that has tapped a younger demographic. Like, you know, I'm like an early Gen Xer, or like late Gen Xer, I guess you could say. Ben's more millennial. This company is catching more of the Zoomer generation a little bit, and so it's something to keep an eye on, brands to watch, literally, because they have a younger demographic and they're doing things a little bit differently. So someone who's like an early Gen Xer, you're like in your mid 50s or something like that, or so, you're gonna not really be tuned into, like, you don't care about what's going on here. I'm just young enough to like kind of say like, oh, okay, starting to see the future a little bit. And I see, as someone, and I'm not like being braggadocious, but as someone who's like seen the future a lot in my life, and sometimes positioned it, the fact that I got into the supplement industry and saw this coming in the early 2000s, as part of that, I start to see other people who I believe see the future as well. And I think Clout's got like their finger on that pulse. And so that's why it's a brand to watch for me. Could I do what they're doing? No, because I don't understand like the anime stuff and like the Korean influence or whatever like that. But I do know that from the young people that I have engaged with, I know that it's a something. And so they're seeing that. So definitely excited to watch them. And then, same with Astroflave, just like the fact that we are kind of catching them right in the middle of this, like they're starting to like, they just turned and burned, and we're watching like the afterburners start to go on. That's going to be something to watch as well. I'm not sure how long this is going to last, but like, everything they've done recently has been like superb.
Astroflave to me, like I was excited for, because of who's putting together. Brian Tweer, if you know who is, and I think Brian actually tries to stay behind the scenes, but I'm gonna talk about him for a second. Owns Jersey Shore Supplements, which like if you come to Jersey, like he's like the dawn of fucking supplements. Like like if you want, like don't open a store in his area. like it's just anywhere down the south, dude. Like you drive down Route 37 to Seaside Heights, like if you're going to like Carmel or whatever, you pass one in Tom's River. Like they're amazing. They're like the status of what South Jersey supplements are. And so he knows retail. He knows sports supplement retail. And so he originally had Astroflave as a line that would do well in retail, but especially because like, they had a little bit of non-compliance in their pre-workout stuff. But I will say, you remember in 2019 when they sent us their PB&J and their cinnamon, and we compared it to First Form and it knocked the shit out of their cinnamon. No offense to First Form. We should have talked about them for a little bit.
Because they have a great community, brand of the year style community.
We did community of the year a couple years ago for Hostile Excellent Sledge.
Right.
And I don't think we're going to do that this year just out of time, but that's First Form. Between Brian's knowledge of just, general, that whole idea, and then Brady Adamson's knowledge from, he was at Nutrex during like the freaking golden days. He comes in from, if I'm not mistaken, being a sales rep at Nutrex, and now understands formulation on such a deep level. Like, I mean, how many times do you and I talk to people and we get responses like what we get from Brady? Yeah.
Like today's email thread was pretty good.
Yeah.
Like,
he just gets it. He called me about like nanotechnology, minerals the other day, and I was like, I'm sorry, dude, I don't.
Nice.
And that stuff is important to me. So anyway, they're putting together a couple really cool things. You look at their one scoop only, you look at their meta burns, you look at these things, you look at interesting stabs at already kind of normal bland category, and that is something that I look for in a brand to watch.
Yeah. Now, real quickly, last year, I personally staked Storm was the brand to watch last year, and they've done a couple of cool things. They just didn't have enough out there. They kind of fizzled a little bit. So still love that branding, and I will stay by that. I love that like 90s vibe and everything. And their nootropic, I think, is fantastic. Storm Focus is it's got a really cool brainberry ingredient in there that I think is worth digging into and more people should look at. But either way, like
hey, year before,
I'm going to let you call brands of the year or brands to watch more than me.
Yeah. I've had a pretty good track record with brands to watch with Glaxon in 2019. And then I'm going to say my 2020 call was just a year early, was AP. AP this year did a very good job when we went out to their headquarters. Between their AP Prime Bites and their Legacy series, they did a great job.
Those brownies went from being nowhere to literally everywhere. Like,
exclusives at Vitamin Shop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exclusives of the Europa, like that. Ike knew how to make everyone happy there. So we'll see what happens with all that.
Yeah So definitely I think brands to watch, and this is less of an award and more of just like an honorable mention type deal. I think are Clout and Astroflave. Maybe we're cheating by calling two, but I don't really care.
And I'm going to throw this out there just for people who care. People to watch, Natural Products Association. I want to see, we gotta see what they're going to do with NMN. The NAC thing is not over, just so everyone knows. Like, there could be further actions if FDA wants to go there. So I will say that it is probably my greatest professional regret is not covering that. And for that reason, you need to watch PricePlow as well, because I'm working on, I've learned so much about NMN over the last few weeks. I'm working on something big. I'm getting into the biochemistry. I'm getting into legal. I'm getting into everything. And we're going to be dropping basically a nuclear bomb on this thing. And it's unbelievable what this molecule really is and what it can do. So brands to watch is PricePlow as well, because we're going to be covering this stuff. And I know it's taken me longer than everyone would like. We have a lot of things going on and everything, but this regulatory stuff, we need to defend our turf. And if I don't want to go too into it, this is not only, I'm just going to say that NMN is not only a dietary supplement ingredient, it is possibly the dietary supplement ingredient. I believe this so wholeheartedly. So we will get into this. So other things, that's just some other things to watch, obviously. And like I've said, Ghost, Glaxon, they're always going to be.
Well, last 15 minutes, I want to talk about protein of the year and pre-workout of the year.
Okay.
My protein of the year is the chocolate mint from Savage.
Oh, okay.
Chris
you never even sent me a baggie. This isn't even fair.
Dude, I'm sorry. And this has happened before where we've talked about proteins that you haven't had yet, but you know what? I'm going to call the manufacturer and get one sent straight to you because it's that good.
You eat more dairy than me too. So, and that's part of, part of my thing is I'm not zero dairy, but I'm not high dairy. And
Dude, these guys did a mint liquid, very heavy on the mint, and then put the most inclusions I've ever seen in a drink, chocolate chips, and they're heavy and they're the bitter ones. And I don't know if they're fully bitter, but
I like that.
Dude, bottom of the drink, you get like 12 of them. And it's
I love it. I put chocolate chips into my drink sometimes.
Dude, and so when you chew them, they like stick to your teeth and like you gotta like oh dude, it is the most experiential protein of my year. And that's going up against like birthday cake Oreo and stuff, which I you can't knock. It was amazing. We did that tasting at Ghost and everything.
Yeah, it's serious.
But Thavage, Isolate, just an incredible job.
Awesome.
What was your big protein for the year?
Actually, I filmed it literally 2 days ago. It's vegan mix. There's been others. Some of the My Protein flavors with so I'm looking at it right now. Black Magic's multi-source protein birthday cake.
Great one.
I just went nuts over this flavor. It is so over the top. Like at some point you might need like a sucralose sweetness break or something. If you're like at the end of your sweetness like run or whatever, this is like the equivalent of the 800 milligram caffeine pre-workout. Birthday cake flavor multi-source is the sweetness equivalent of that. It is so good if you have a sweet tooth. If you don't, you're just gonna be like, it's too much. So that flavor for me was mine. But then so this recent vegan mix chocolate peanut butter flavor from Astroflave, it blew me away. I honestly, it's not, of course it's not a dairy milkshake, it's not whey protein, it will never be. I don't think vegan can get any better. And if it does, it'll be so small incrementally. I've been using the vanilla flavor and I didn't realize, and I was like, just saving the other ones for a review, and I tried the chocolate and it's phenomenal, dark chocolate flavor. And then I tried this chocolate peanut butter flavor, and it is literally like chocolate peanut butter candy. And it's not just like cocoa next to peanut flour kind of mixed together. It like actually they formulated this flavor so that it actually works together, and it is so good that it almost makes you forget that there's pea protein in there. But 1%, it's still in there. You know that. So as someone who, when I'm going on a lower dairy kick, this Astroflave vegan mix, I challenge anyone to send in their vegans to beat this flavor. Go pick up some vegan mix and try it out. And I think if you're being honest with yourself, you're going to admit that this stuff is just the best. So that was mine. But in terms of like what's more important, I'm still going to say, whey protein, and it is more important is a better product in general. So if you say that the mint chip is the one, then we go with that.
It's insane. I killed 2 bottles of it.
Really nice.
Yeah.
Finishing bottles, it's important.
Exactly, but that's my point. Exactly, like finishing bottles. Like last year, I think I gave it to Ghost Oreo, and I finished that bottle like 2 weeks. All right, so let's also talk about pre-workouts really.
So
quickly.
and so I've recently busted this back out. I'm holding up the Thavage Legend pre-workout collab. But is that so? This is like your kind of like your product of the year in ways, but is it your pre-workout of the year? Like, where are we going with this?
So I gotta say that we should honestly say before this, Mike and I did not argue. We went back and forth about if, for me, product of the year has a lot to do with the launch and the excitement and the hype. That's what's fun about it. It's not an innovation of the year. It's not the pre-workout of the year. It's the product. It's just like I was just excited about the product. For me, pre-workout has a lot more to do with the formula. And I honestly don't have an answer. I'm actually scrolling through our stuff right now. Very early on in the year, Pre-Caged Elite. I killed a bottle of that. That was a great product.
Dude.
Now, very late in the year.
Over
and this is again,
awesome. Yeah.
We have like a time bias. I always know this. Late year stuff always gets biased better in our our awards. Fury 2.0 launches late in the year. How am I supposed to choose between Fury 2.0 and Pre-Caged Elite? It almost makes me think like these elite pre-workouts need to be in a secondary category, because I can't compare 10 grams of citrulline versus like a more cost-effective in-store product.
Concept X from Beyond Raw I thought was incredible as well, and Euphoric Muscle Tech.
One scoop only, also like
yes. So it depends on what you want. It's like, as someone personally who's not using alpha yohimbine as much, 1 scoop only is a bit much for me. Pre-Caged Elite, you're getting towards 400 milligrams of caffeine. Now it does come with a crap ton, 10 grams of citrulline plus nitrates, which does like weaken the caffeine, but it's still, dude, it is It's serious. Like Cage is serious. I'm so excited about their mindset too. That might be a brand to watch as well, by the way. Cage is always a brand to watch.
Yeah.
Should have thrown that in there with Ghost and Glaxon.
Here, let me throw in a curveball for you that I know you're going to remember and love. Primal from Animal.
Dude, I finally opened my next tub here. This watermelon strawberry flavor is phenomenal, and it's got the 3D pump. I think they did, and you'll hear it on this podcast when we talk with Jason. I think they did 3D pump in terms of flavoring and texture the best so far too. So, yeah.
I mean, and
Animal did a great year.
You could go through a few different examples here. Echovision did their Dethroner. Remember that? That product?
Dude.
Like that was like this
year. I know you're getting like tired of these like 50-gram scoops and everything. And I'm a little bit economically cautious because I don't think everyone's going to want to pay $70 for a pre-workout. No offense, Concept X. So to me, that kind of factors into it. I'm not sure how much Pre-Cage Elite costs, but it's probably not cheap either.
It's more cost effective. I will say that. I don't know the exact dollar. Specimen Max,
$60,
I believe,
off.
launched early this year. I want to say.
What's that? I'm sorry.
Specimen Max.
Oh yeah,
launched early this year. That's funny. You have Fool's
Gold. You use these. Gold. What's that?
It's funny. You have Fool's Gold listed on pre-workout supplements here. That was their April Fools.
Is it still available?
Somewhere it looks like it is.
Oh, it's a separate product. Yeah, because it had its own label. It's still available at subs.com.
That's funny.
Should it be in the regular specimen?
I mean, for some reason, people buy that product, so leave it up there for sure.
Golden showers, pineapple lemonade. God, Joey. Okay,
dude, there were so many good products this last year. I mean, like literally, like so many people did great pre-workouts. I didn't come prepared for this.
I know. What are you doing?
You know what pre-workout I finished most often this year was Savage. I gotta be totally honest. I finished multiple tubs of that. It is the most when I have to be honest, I don't know what the price of it is. So you can't talk about pricing, but you talk about amount of products, meaning enough stim, meaning enough pump, meaning, focus. Like overall, it ends up being like my daily driver that is reasonable for almost everything.
$42.50 after PricePlow coupon.
Not bad.
Best we have. Right. Pre-Cage Elite was $59.99 minus PricePlow coupon brings it down a little bit. Both of those, to me, are going to be better deals than Concept Extras is great. So I also like Savage. I forced myself to finish the Christopher Secret stuff tub, and I send you messages. By the last four workouts with it, I was very tired of the flavor system, we'll just say, and I'm happy that it's over. But it is a great daily driver. The pre-workout works. Like if someone were like, if I don't know much about someone, I like to have these like situations. If I don't know much about you, I'm pretty confident that I can give you this, and you're not gonna be sitting there like that Barney meme where you're like waiting to not die or trying to not die or something like that. Like this is a pre-workout I can give to nearly anyone. Yeah, it's got beta alanine, but most people have grown to love and accept that. A lot of these specimen versions and stuff, like I don't know if I can confidently say that same thing. So.
Yeah, but I think Glaxon has leaned into the fact that their users like to almost die a few times.
Right. Yeah, that's a different thing.
And that's one of the things I find so refreshing about the Bumstead brand is like, it's funny, we get these comments like, Chris Bumstead won the Olympia because of steroids, not because of his pre-workout. And like,
that's not true.
First of all, citrulline gives you great pump. And second of all, I love that about his pre-workout. I can hand that to anyone. I can hand that to women. I can hand that to men. I can hand that to small people, big people. I can hand it to people who like stims and don't like stims because it's very, very reasonable. You also know that it's tested. You also know that it comes out of a great facility at Armada. There's just all around, it's going to be a good experience.
Okay. I'm going to throw a curveball in here for me personally. And there's a deal going on right now. So as we speak, Beast Mode X by B Sports Nutrition, which, disclaimer, we helped to formulate. And one of the things we did is we threw in a bunch of rhodiola, but also I like dynamine, and it doesn't have citrulline. It was during the time when citrulline prices were getting out of control. It has nitrosogene instead. And a lot of companies are looking for this because citrulline is going to lead you into the same flavors over and over and over. And you can't, it adds weight, it adds this and that. And so in terms of feel-good pre-workouts that I often sometimes might use as an energy drink, Beast Mode X, and it's for 25 servings right now, full, like 25 servings, bringing you about 275 milligrams of caffeine. $18.99 a muscle and strength.com. And so in terms of like a deal right now, I would throw that to some people too.
Yeah.
That's
I
one of my
scrolled past
favorites.
That one and thought the
Yeah,
same.
I'm not going to call it pre-workout of the year, but I did want to mention it because I'm looking over my shelf. I'm like, dude, I love that product.
I didn't want to mention it just because, you know, when we say that we helped formulate it, that's, you know, definitely it's nice. We really.
I mean, I've been on the record. I want more rhodiola in certain pre-workouts. So
I mean, you look at the product. It's funny. We've had some people in the Discord like look at products and be like, Ben was involved in that one. I could tell. Like, you know, there's rhodiola and 3 grams of tyrosine. It might have been Ben. And that from a cost perspective, pre-workout that really embodies PricePlow pretty well.
Speaking of tyrosine, I know we got like 4 minutes.
Alphagen
nutrition. Alphagen.
10 grams of tyrosine.
I still gotta try it. Okay, a long time ago during my keto things, I was doing the I was testing out how blood sugar responds to this stuff, and 5 grams of tyrosine made me a bit anxious. So I'm not sure. I gotta try this. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, Hypermax. Did Hypermax come out in 2022?
They were one of those that was.
That's getting close.
I do like Performax Labs a lot. They're an ingredient brand. I like ingredients brands, and they do it really well. And I know they have some cool stuff coming too.
That one gets pretty close. And this is like, again, this is my problem with the whole doing a whole year long thing is there's stuff in the first half of the year that ends up getting forgotten. Like Legacy.
No, okay. Hypermax 3D. They were one of the first with 3D pump. That was September of 2021.
Okay. All right. Then I feel better for not talking too much about it. Here's a really good one. A really, really good one. But again, is in the premium category. So it's kind of hard. Ape Shit Max.
Oh yeah.
Again, 3D pump.
Mm-hmm.
You know, incredible product. I've ran through 2 tubs of both the pump and the normal.
Did you stack them together?
Oh yeah. Oh
nice.
Yeah. I mean, my blood pressure dropped like 20 points every time, but you know, awesome product.
Well, when we talk about pre-workout of the year, does it have to be a new product that came out in the past year? Because that Thavage is out in that case.
Oh, Thavage is not my pre-workout of the year.
Okay.
I was just saying, like, I just always go back to it. And that's a great point. That's 100% a great point. But I would say that Thavage had more momentum this year than last year, I think.
Right, but yeah, in terms of the year.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well,
yeah,
we have like 2 minutes, and I want to say our best podcast of the year, episode 69 for sure.
Dude, go listen to Chris Waldron. Congratulations. He sold Inspired Nutraceuticals, so we need to get him on the pod as well. Once he's
Brand to watch in 2023. Big funding to Inspired. Huge things coming. I can't talk too much because I heard a couple things that I really am excited about that year for them.
Awesome.
So, all right. Well, I guess that's a good time to close this out. Happy 2023, everyone. 2022 was a ride for sure.
It was a fun year. So did we pick a pre-workout of the year or we just leave it hanging?
I'm leaving it hanging.
Oh man, that's awkward.
I mean, I'm not giving out awards. You know, I'm not sending trophies to anyone. So
no, we're not.
I guess we probably should eventually. There's no belt anymore, so we got to do something.
There's no belt?
Fitness Performance not doing an award this year.
Oh, we got to do something.
Let's make a belt.
Okay, yeah, or something ridiculous. Something silly maybe, but no. Yeah, belt. Let's do a tactical belt. And people, if they need to, they could put their holster on it.
Yes. Okay.
All right.
Cool. Well, happy 2023, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. We'll see ya.